I'll be honest, guys. Ladies, if you're watching, hopefully you're watching. Hopefully there's ladies watching. I never see it in the stats and such, but I guess at the end of the day, it's really mostly guys that are into this hobby. So there's literally been, I think, 10 or 12 attempts at me starting this video. I'm not joking. Seriously. I'm looking at my sort of loose script lines, and yeah, it's take 52. Let's go. So the big first question is, or answer I should say, where the hell have you been, man? What's up with your lackadaisical videos? They're not showing up. You're not showing up. Are you done? Are you abandoning the channel? No. I don't, I'm not saying this to get sympathy. I really am not. But unfortunately, my mom, who has been in hospice care for the past year and a half, passed away several months ago. And as you can imagine, I had to deal with all sorts of things transcontinentally, internationally, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, of course, the funeral, set that up, get that taken care of, meet with family members and so on and so forth. So that really preoccupied me for the better chunk of the last several months, more than just several months, I should say. But hopefully she's resting in peace now, and she made it to 90. And we can put that behind us, so to speak. Literally, is that a word? Literally and figuratively. And, yeah. So there you have it. First it was the move to Europe, Hungary. Then it was getting set up in Hungary. That didn't work out so well. Then it was the move back to the U.S., then it was moving into an all-new house. Then it was finishing up Studio A. Then it was waiting on stuff to get finished up. And then finally it was my mom. So, yeah. I am pretty sure that I'm going to try my very best to get back in the stream of things, in the swing of things, and get you guys the content that I want to make, that you guys want to see, obviously. And so I think we're going to be back on track. But before we get to this video, which is all about the Wilson Audio Sasha, no, that's the W. V. Wait, V. There you go. V. I'm a complete idiot today. V for victory. There's one positive announcement that I want to make and really kick this show off with some positivity, which is, drum rolls please, we finally have, yes, our own merchandising store in cooperation with a new old friend, graphics designer. We've created some really cool merchandise. There's going to be more merchandise coming, different colors, assortments, all kinds of stuff, different logos. But as you can clearly tell, it's pretty cool. We even have coffee. And by the way, this is not just some silly, stupid, $1.50 prepackaged Folgers coffee that you get at the grocery store. No, this is really small craft beanery, I should say, roasted fresh, etc., etc. So it's the real deal. If you look at the prices, yeah, it's a little expensive. Keep in mind, this is all just-in-time manufacturing, so there's a certain amount of overhead, etc. But, if you end up buying something, I'm not saying you must, but if you end up buying something and supporting SonicFlare, please do tag SonicFlare on Instagram, #SonicFlare, and of course, at SonicFlare, and enter to win, who knows what. I mean, I don't know yet. Probably a record. I still have a bunch of records that I need to give away. So come up with something creative, if in fact that's what you're going to do. And let's see who is going to win. But now, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, the Sasha V Wilson Audio review, and frankly, why it's been so darn challenging to get this review started because I'm actually trying to figure out what is the proper way to review a $51,000 loudspeaker, as the Sasha V is, a $65,000 amp like the EMMlabs MTRS. I think that was one of my previous reviews, maybe 2-3 reviews ago. In other words, these mega buck items, because frankly, it's difficult. You know, there's obviously tons of reviews of Sasha V's that you can read at all the old rags of the industry, the mainstream hi-fi industry. Sasha's been reviewed many times over worldwide, as has every other Wilson speaker. And to great accolades, it's a fantastic speaker. It is my personal speaker. I'll get into that in just a minute. But I think it's difficult because I make no mistake about the fact that no one who's going to watch this video, from me particularly right now, is going to be there, gee, should I get the Sasha V or Magico or YG or you know, Buxton Müller or, you know, something completely different. Griffon, literally random names out of my hat. Or should I get that Sasha V? Danny says it's a great speaker. I'll get the Sasha V. I don't make illusions about the fact that I don't think that's happening. However, I will say that, you know, I think the point of these reviews is to add a little more color, add a little more humor, add a little more substance to it that you may or may not be able to get out of a written review. So by all means, if you're looking for a total in-depth specs, speeds, and feeds, here's what it sounds like with this. This is what the speaker does here. There is, you know, something going on there. These video reviews, my video reviews, are probably not going to be your best bet. I would certainly recommend you read the other magazines that are out there and what other writers have written about them. That said, you know, I think the one comment that really stands out with Wilson Audio time and again is they are truly a benchmark in the industry. Whether or not you like Wilson, whether or not you care for that sound or not, you can't deny the success that Wilson has had. And in fact, they are in their 50th anniversary this year. And David Wilson started the company, obviously as a recording engineer, making and recording music, predominantly classical music, in Utah and around the U.S., I'm sure. And I have several of his records that are still in print, obviously. You can still get them, or I should say reissues. And, you know, it's always interesting to review a speaker or listen to a speaker that was built to be consumed and experienced by a person who actually records music for a living, as has Dave and many others. Peter McGrath, who's been with Wilson Audio for many, many, many years, is also an accomplished recording artist. And, you know, they have obviously used Wilson speakers to monitor, master, and experience the music they record. And so I think it's, you know, you have to look at Wilson Audio holistically. You know, they're made in the U.S. They employ, I don't know, I think 55, 60 people. They're not paying them minimum wage. They're paying them an honest wage. The speakers are expensive. The least expensive model currently in the lineup is still the Wilson Audio Tune Tot, which I have had for many, many, many years. And the other thing that strikes you is the breadth and depth of the speaker lineup they have. So the tiny Tune Tot, and it's really tiny compared to all the other speakers. And then, you know, you just have the newly announced Watt Puppy, which is basically, a remaster, as they call it, of the original Watt Puppy, which really started the entire Wilson Audio speaker journey back in the 70s. And of course, you have the Sabrina X before that. Then you have the Sasha. Then you have the Alexia, the Alex, then the XVX, and then you have the Wham. And so my journey with Wilson Audio, if I may just sort of posit that as well, so you guys can see my biases, frankly, right? I mean, we all have them. Is, my journey with Wilson Audio started in 2012 with the original Alexia. And from there, I progressed through the Alex, and then I had the XVX, which was absolutely bonkers. I missed that speaker so much and the sound that I had. But because we moved to Europe and I didn't know where we're going to end up, apartment house, this, that, and the other, schlepping around a 750-ish pound speaker per channel is not my idea of, a simple setup. Oh, let me just plop these over here and, get them tweaked quickly. And, that's not going to happen. So I decided to downgrade. I shouldn't say downgrade, really. I decided to swap out my XVXs for a pair of Sashas, and Sasha V in this case. And I figured, hey, you know what? This speaker fits the room. But then, of course, I ended up getting the itch. And actually, it's going to make for a cool story because I'm going to be upgrading the Sashas. As a matter of fact, as we speak, they're en route to a pair of Alexia Vs. And there's going to be a review on the Alexia Vs. And so I've almost come full circle with Wilson Audio. And, yes, look, when you look at the Sasha V, it's a large speaker. Make no mistake about it. In fact, I'm going to put up a quick a picture comparing the Sasha to the new Watt Puppy or the old Watt Puppy. And it's considerably larger a speaker than the Watt Puppy. It's heavy. It's about 260 pounds. It's adjustable in the time domain on the mid-range and tweeter level. It's an iconic design for Wilson Audio. They must have sold, I don't know how many they've sold, but hundreds, if not thousands even. And it's in its third iteration. So it was the Sasha, the original Sasha, then came the Sasha DAW for Dave Wilson in his memory of his passing that Daryl created. And then, of course, the Sasha V. And the V doesn't stand for 5, Roman numeral 5. It stands for victory. No, it doesn't. It stands for V material, which, again, if you look more in depth into Wilson Audio, you'll see that they spend quite a bit of time developing material sciences and new materials and forging new production techniques, etc. And so V material is strategically placed throughout the speaker, hence the name Alexia V as well, hence the name XVX, and of course Alex V. And so it's a big speaker. It's fairly easy to drive. It dips down to about 2.5 ohms. It's a nominal 4 ohm impedance. So, I would say if you have a solid, call it a 100 watt amp, 50 minimum, but a 100 watt amp, I think you'll be able to play music very nicely with Sasha V. Of course, you can put way more power on it as well. I currently have the MTRS EMMlabs on them, pumping out about 400 watts. And so, the more power, the louder you can play. They are, in my opinion, again, kudos to Wilson Audio. Now, look, everybody has marketing behind their products in some way, shape, or form. Wilson Audio, no doubt, is not an outlier in that regard. And so their, claim to fame, their North Star that they've always developed towards has always been that time alignment and being able to accurately align time, accurately align the drivers so that the sounds arrive at the listening position at your ear at the same time. And of course, that is Wilson's proprietary raison d'etre. That is what they're living for, what they're breathing for. Every speaker in some way or measure has that ability. To me personally, I mean, I think time alignment is important, obviously. I think phase alignment is equally as important. And having speakers and the crossover, having the signal in phase, I think is also very critical. You'd be surprised how many modern day big buck speakers do not have phase coherent systems. And you can easily hear that, very easily. In fact, I'd like to say that or think that I can walk into a room and I can pretty much tell you within a couple of seconds of listening whether or not a speaker is phase aligned or not. And so, yeah, is that the most important thing, time alignment? Perhaps. I think it's equal to phase alignment. And in that regard, I think the Wilson speakers, as of the last, 15 years, maybe more, have been very, very well aligned. There are speakers out there that have even better phase alignment. But I think they've done a phenomenal job packing up what they believe sound should be like coming through their speakers. And, I've played these with tube amps. I've played these with the EINSTEIN OTL amps. I've played these with the EMMlabs MTRS. I've listened to them in various other systems with various other amplifiers. To me, the Wilson audio sound is really, it's on the warmer side of neutral, as I would put it. Which is great, right? I mean, it's life. It embodies life when you listen to music in general. There's layers and layers of sound because of the time alignment and the phase alignment. Spatial resolution is unbelievable. I mean, you really hear wall-to-wall sound. You can easily tell layers and layers in recordings, provided the recording features them. And I'm going to be showing two specific ones that will call that out. And so, look, I think they're very well evenly balanced from, bass, subterranean bass even. They may not reach quite the lowest of octave, but I think in your typical room, they provide plenty of bass. I do not believe you'll need a subwoofer. And of course, if you do, Wilson Audio makes several subwoofers that you can choose and select from. But I think in and of themselves, they do not require one. It's the Wilson sound, right? It's musical. It's lifelike. It's got refinement. It's quiet. Inherently, the speaker, I think, is just a very quiet design. Resolution, all you need, right? As you go through the frequency spectrum, you will see or hear the coherence of the driver system and the speaker itself, with male vocals, female vocals, jazz, brass, punk rock, electronic music. I mean, gosh, anything you throw at the speaker, in my opinion, resonates really well with the vision and the sound experience from Wilson Audio. So let me show you two specific records that I want to call out for this review that I'll go into a little more detail on. Hang on. So I purposely wanted to pick two albums that are completely diametrically opposed one to another. And the first one is the Shirley Horn Trio on Steeplechase. Trying to get rid of these reflections. Sorry, guys and ladies. This is a reissue. Came out in '79. Still available. And so it's Shirley Horn, obviously vocals, Buster Williams on bass, and Billy Hart on drums. And the track is Lazy Afternoon. It's cut side two, excuse me. And let me put you into the frame of reference of what you're listening to. So it opens up with a piano line. I forgot who's on piano. Maybe you guys know. Drop in a comment below. Opens with piano. Bass comes in. Then Shirley's voice. And then the drums. And holy cow. This is a holographic recording that truly, again, stupid cliches in the audiophilia world, right? But it really is there. It's like Dream with Dean and many, many others. But that's the first one that comes to mind because that was a quartet or a trio as well, I think, that was playing. But yeah, it's just, man, it's eerie how realistic it sounds. The miking is spot on. Her voice, you can, the lisping, the whispering, man, it gives you goosebumps. It really does. When you play it at realistic volume level, unbelievable recording. I mean, Steeplechase in general, you cannot go wrong. I have a few originals. I have a few of the reissues of the material that I care for and like. You can't go wrong. I highly, highly recommend you get this record and play that track. I mean, it's eerie how realistic it is. And again, it's that hallmark quality of the Wilson sound that it comes through on the Tune Tots, it comes through on the Sabrinas, it comes through on the XVX, it comes through on the Wham, it comes through on the Sashas, Alexias. Seriously, it's a continuous sonic experience that scales with the budget you have available and the space you have available. I mean, obviously, you can't put an XVX or Alexia or Wham into a small room, but I think regardless of size, you get the emotional essence. So kudos to Daryl and team. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. There's nothing missing in my opinion. No, like, it should have been a little more here. No, it's lifelike. It's perfect. The next album is the great Eric Hilton, one half of Thievery Corporation. Like I told you, two completely different albums, right? So this is, I think, his second or third record that came out. And it's, the reason I picked this is it has multitude of instruments, percussive, electronic, all kinds of synthesizers, etc. But there's also bass, a bass guitar, and an acoustic guitar in many of the cuts. And when you look at the track one, Ceremony, which is it's a 2 LP 45 RPM disc, what strikes you with the setup that I have and the Sashas is this envelopment and development. So the sound you get like this envelope of sound that develops as it plays on, and you're part of it. You're in it. It's like literally wall to wall. Where the Shirley Horn was an intimate trio, playing in a defined space. This is like wall to wall, right? And as the layers of percussive and electronic and synthesized instruments come in, you can really hear all these elements stacking up one on top of the other. And then about halfway through the songs, it sort of quiets out. It's a very down-tempo record, very mellow, very sort of atmospheric, ambient almost. And about halfway through the song, the bass kicks in, the electric bass, and then the acoustic guitar, and then the tempo picks up again a little bit. And again, man, it's just these layers of instruments, all the stuff that you're just like, holy crap, man, this sounds so damn good. It really does. I'm not kidding. So anyway, yeah, that's the review. Is this helpful? I don't know. Drop a comment below. Again, I don't think YouTube lends itself, and these videos lend themselves to pages and pages of scribbles of this is what it sounds like with this is what it sounds like with that, here's where the shortcoming is, etc. My only shortcoming, if I may, I guess call it that, is you tend to see Wilson Audio at shows with one of three or one of two partners for the most part. D'Agostino and DCS. and DCS and D'Agostino, and D'Agostino and DCS, and DCS and D'Agostino. And it sort of gives the impression that, oh, this is the best that it can sound. Frankly, I'll be honest, what I've heard sounds better than some of those combos that I've seen and heard at shows. What does that mean? What am I getting at? You know, gosh, there are so many great combinations out there. And of course, it always comes down to, you know, what is the dealer carrying? What is the distributor carrying? Is it an arrangement between the distributor and Wilson Audio, or sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And so I totally get it. Sometimes it's unavoidable. This is what you're going to hear. This is what it's going to play. But I wish that you would be able to really hear Wilson speakers with so much more different equipment, because I think, frankly, you'll get even better sound, honestly. So anyway, that's that. They're expensive. I think I mentioned that, $51,000. They're finished to perfection. These new premium paint finishes that are expensive at like a $10,000, $12,000 upgrade really take it to the next level. These paint the color choices they picked are truly amazing. So yeah, this is the reason why my Sashas are still wrapped in frisk, as Wilson calls it, and I haven't peeled it off because I knew that I'm going to be sending them back. And so, curious, drop a comment below if you know or think you know what color I picked for Alexia. They're due to arrive next week, so I'm excited about that. Anyway, peace, love, and hair grease as always. Have a cup of coffee. Don't forget our new merchandise. And look forward to all the comments. See you guys. Ciao.